Okay, so let me just say before we get started in this video, I am absolutely hoping and looking forward to something new in Grand Theft Auto Online in the next update, in the next expansion, whatever the case might be. But because it is really the end of an era, you know, the Sabre Turbo is the last, I guess, lowrider, if you can see my air quotes, that's supposed to be coming out from Lowriders Customs Classics. We've got those vehicles that can be bought at Benny's, and it's kind of the end of an era for now because Rockstar hasn't announced any new ones. So in doing that, I'd like to look back at what I think are some of the best Benny's vehicles that were added and can be upgraded in his shop. Now, as always, a video like this is my personal opinion, and I actually got help from a lot of you guys. What I'm going to be using to justify this kind of list are some polls that I actually took on my Twitter account, where thousands of you guys voted on what you thought were the best Benny's vehicles, and that's kind of what I'm going to be showing off in this video. Now, as always, if you've got a modification to the list, you think one needs to be added or removed, just be sure to let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, just because a vehicle ultimately makes it on this list doesn't mean that the ones that didn't are bad vehicles. These are just the ones that I think were the best for whatever reason, whether it's unique customization or the overall car itself, I thought were the best for Benny's shop. But of course, without the way, let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. Okay, so I know this polling system is a little bit wacky just because on Twitter you can only do 4 at a time, and I only wanted to include one race car on here, so that's why the Sultan and the Banshee were being compared separately and taking home a massive 1,382 votes. It is the Sultan RS. And I actually agree with all the selections you guys made on Twitter, but I think the Sultan RS is one of the coolest Benny's cars. Not only does it transform a vehicle we've had all the way since Grand Theft Auto 4 and beyond, but also one that was in GTA 5 and without Benny's had some pretty cool customization in and of itself. But obviously when we took it into Benny's, the fact that you could make it a race car, it turned into the super class. There were a bunch of amazing liveries. You could turn this into a really classic looking Subaru, or you could add the Princess Robot Bubblegum livery on there and just make it look absolutely insane. There were so many options for the bumpers and the fenders and the spoilers and the hood itself. There's just an absolute ton of customization options, which is one of the reasons why I think it made the Sultan RS so great. Now, when you did upgrade it, you did lose 2 doors and 2 spots for other people to sit, but I think that the customization you got compared to the things you lost are really, really awesome. So that's why I wanted to include the Sultan RS on this list, because I really do think it was an awesome addition to the game when it came in the January Drop Zone update. Our second vehicle on the list today, coming in at 703 total votes, is the Buccaneer Custom. And this car is something I've wanted to see and get some sort of lowrider update for a while now, because you guys might remember, like even when the game first came out, there were these random modified NPC versions of the Buccaneer. They were called gang versions, and they'd have unique customization options that you could see on the streets without having to do anything in the Los Santos custom shop. And every time I saw that, I was like, man, the Buccaneer would be so cool if it had some really epic customization options. And it really is awesome because you get to change the pattern with the roofs. You can obviously do a hard top, you can do a custom top, no top, which I think is really great. And I've compared the Buccaneer to the Sabre Turbo Custom, and it's kind of like the sportier models of the lowriders, and I agree. This one is menacing. I think it's bad to the bone. You can really make this one look awesome. So I enjoyed the Buccaneer. It was obviously a classic we've had from so many other GTA games, and when it got that Benny's touch, it really did turn into something so cool. All right, now in my original recording of this video, I forgot to mention the Voodoo. I was just looking back and going through the footage, and I realized that the Voodoo and a car we're going to be talking about later is actually tied at 26%. So we've got two, I don't want to call this an honorable mention because I think it got the same amount of love as one of the other vehicles you'll see, but I also wanted to include the Voodoo in this list. I think this is one of the traditional lowriders that, like, you see that car in game and you're like, man, that deserves to be a lowrider. And I think the Voodoo really fit that role almost perfectly. So I'm glad that I was able to catch this and include it on the list, because I'm sure a lot of you guys would have been like, where's the Voodoo, man? You know, that's one of the best lowriders that can go in Benny's. And I agree with you. It's that low profile style that really does make it amazing, and it has some great customization options as well, which I really do think makes it look awesome. The Voodoo has been one of my favorite, I guess, kind of niche-y vehicles ever since I've had GTA 5, and it's always fun when you see them around because they're such a unique looking car. So I wanted to include the Voodoo on this list. I just realized that I made the mistake of not including it even though it was tied, as you'll see a little bit later, with another vehicle. So I'm glad I caught this. So I guess this is really more like the top 6, 5.5. I'm really not too sure, but I definitely wanted to get the Voodoo on this list. Now that's a great segue into the next vehicle, which made it, which was the Sabre Turbo Custom, coming in at 1,095 votes, which was very impressive. I think it had the second most votes to the Sultan RS. And the Sabre Turbo Custom, in my opinion, is the best out of the 3 lowriders that we got via the tunable updates as a part of Lowriders Customs Classics. And I say that for a few reasons. One, I think it cosmetically and aesthetically looks the best. 2, I think it's really, really sporty. And as I'll touch on, maybe you guys have already seen the video, but I might be doing it a little bit later today. The Sabre Turbo Custom is actually pretty fast and really blows some of the other cars in the muscle car category out of the water. So overall, you get a nice combination of speed and power and looks. And I know this is a car that so many people have wanted back since like Vice City, because I know there was actually like a livery that you could do in GTA San Andreas on the Sabre GT that's really similar to the Inferno one that we got right now. So this is a car that old school GTA players have been accustomed to and associated with for a while now, especially if you played Vice City, San Andreas, GTA 4. This car has been around forever, and the fact that it got a really nice upgrade in Benny's was super cool. So I think the Sabre Turbo Custom is amazing, whether you just want to show it off in car shows or now if you want to use it in muscle car races, it certainly is the one for you. Moving on, the number 4 vehicle is pretty unique, the only truck of Benny's, and that is the Slam Van Custom. That's right, the only truck, and I think it's really awesome. We've obviously seen a ton of cool stuff that you can do with the Slam Van. This is a vehicle that's relatively new and only came into Grand Theft Auto 5, I believe 2 Christmas updates ago, maybe 1 Christmas update ago. So it's relatively new, and I think the Benny's touch really invigorated a lot of people to turn this classic hot rod truck into something crazy and something really awesome. There was also a bunch of really unique customization on the Slam Van too. So whether it was the unique roll cages or the unique spoiler options, which removed the back tailgate door, which was really, really crazy. And there was a bunch of other things you could do to like the hood, the bumpers, the grills. It was overall a great car. I know from the original 3 that were released, a lot of people love the Slam Van and say it was the best one out of those 3. So that was really cool. I believe that ended up taking 815 votes, which I want to say was the 3rd highest out of the test that I ran on Twitter. So that one was really cool. And at the number 5 spot, we've got the Tornado Custom. Now, this one only had 530 votes. Again, that might have been skewed by the way I did this, Twitter polling. But honestly, that's the best way I found out to do that. I tried to use straw poll. That really didn't work. They didn't give you enough options. I tried some other online polling methods, and that didn't work so great. So I just used Twitter to kind of get the best overall consensus of what you guys were feeling. And the Tornado Custom did make it on the list. Now, the Tornado Custom adds a bunch of different customization options that we hadn't seen on any of the lowriders before. For example, one of them was being able to change the texture on the soft top convertible roof. So I know you can make it like alligator skin or zebra or digital. So that's pretty cool. We had never seen that before, which I thought was pretty awesome. There's also a bunch of unique trim options that had never been seen before on any of the other lowriders. So that little like line on the outside, you could change that. You could also change the trim on the dash on the inside. That was super cool and obviously something we hadn't seen on any of the other lowriders that had been added so far. And while it certainly isn't going to blow anyone out of the water with its performance, I think this car is more of a looker and a shower more than anything else. And honestly, that's what I think it was mainly designed for. But overall, it is awesome. The cool things you can do with like the rusty version that you take in, there's a lot of secrets with the Tornado, and I think that's what makes it really awesome. So I'm glad that you guys and myself ultimately decided to put it on this list and make it into my personal top 5 Benny's vehicles. So anyways, that's my list, but I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments section down below. Do you have any other suggestions for other vehicles that you think would be cool on this list? Now, once again, this of course is my personal opinion, and just because the cars on this list make it doesn't mean that the ones that were excluded are bad. There's plenty of other great ones that I really, really enjoy that just didn't happen to be on this list. So I'd love to hear from you guys there in the comments section down below. If you did go on to enjoy the video, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With out of the way, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.